So you're a buyer. You are trying to budget for a real estate purchase. Buyers will come and they'll sit down and they'll say, hey, what should I expect from an expense standpoint as a buyer who is buying real estate? And it's a very good question, right? Because there is nothing worse, and trust me when I say this, there is nothing worse than getting blindsided when you are sitting down in the lawyer's office about ready to sign on the dotted line to make sure everything goes through. And he sends you over the statement of adjustments and your eyes just go, WTF, right? So as a buyer, your closing costs are legal. There is going to be an expense. You got to get a lawyer involved because they're handling money. There's transfers of titles. There's all these other little things that come with that. As a buyer, you may expect it to be paying for your appraisal. So not all financing options have an appraisal that the bank or lender actually pays for. Sometimes you actually have to pay for that appraisal. Home inspections. Get a bare minimum inspection these days from what I'm seeing in our area is about $600. And then it goes up from there, depending if you want a little bit more, thorough inspection, radon testings, rodent, pests, things of that nature. I tell people that, outside of your home inspections, like if you have to further investigate things that come up through a home inspection, like plumbing issues, electrical issues, maybe the roof is near or needing to be repaired, or furnaces, or this, that, and the rest. There may be some small cost to bring in people in that trade to come in and give you an opinion and an estimate of what that might cost. People talk about deposits. I don't think it's actually a cost, but it is an amount of money that you're actually throwing towards the transaction. It is inclusive of the purchase price, but it is money that needs to be sitting there. So is it an expense? I don't think it's an expense, like as per the definition, but it is an amount of money that you are cutting to go on. Moving. So we talk about moving. I, for one, are not someone that likes to move heavy things. I've moved a few times the last few years, and you know what? Hiring a moving company was one of the best decisions I could make because honestly, time, energy, resources, I get it. When you're younger, you can maybe get some buddies, say, hey, I'm going to give you some pizza and beer if you come help me move the refrigerator. That's another expense that you could potentially budget for if you're thinking you don't want to do all the dirty work when you take ownership of your house. Property taxes. You buy a house and the day you take possession, you actually are responsible for paying property taxes. And so depending on the time of year that you buy, there might be an adjustment depending on the homeowner and when they paid their taxes in terms of prepaying or if they're on a tip program and stuff like that. And so that's where I find a lot of times people get blindsided at the lawyers is because all of a sudden they see a number that they're thinking, okay, I'm just paying my legal expenses and we'll just pick a number like, $2,000. And all of a sudden the invoice is showing like $6,000. Because now that there's a large amount of taxes that are owing on the property from the day you take possession, people talk about, well, does it cost money to work with the Southern Alberta Homes team when I'm buying a house? And the answer is that it doesn't. Like when we work with buyers, we get compensated through the purchase, which is through the seller and the selling brokerage. When you're buying, ask these types of questions with your agent at that time and going, hey, what could be expected of me by the time I actually take ownership of the property in terms of expenses and costs that I'm going to occur during this process? So a really great question. I hope I was able to answer that thoroughly. If you have any more questions, reach out to our team. You can like us, you can follow us. We're all over the place, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. We love hearing from you. I'm Darren Gajelka, Southern Alberta Homes team, Grassroots Realty, Better Way to Real Estate.